Welcome everyone to our workshop on how to sell AEO services. For those of you that don't know what AEO is, potentially there are various terms being thrown around. Answer engine optimization, which is getting your content to be cited from AI platforms like ChatGPT, Gemini, Google, AI mode, etc. Other terms that are easily thrown around right now is just AI SEO, GEO, but the most universal term that marketers are using right now is AEO. The goal of this workshop is to teach you how to position this, potentially giving you some ranges of how to price it, and ultimately how to deliver the AI visibility audits and fulfill these services. My name is Clifford Almeida. I am the founder of My Web Audit. I also run an award-winning agency here in Orlando. I lived in Phoenix is where I started the agency, just moved here last year. So reestablishing a lot of that. Probably like most of you, I started out building this as a side gig in 2000, building websites, a couple of websites for 400 and quickly moving that to 800, 1200. And I've been blessed to work on multiple six-figure projects, and everything I have learned and will be sharing here will work for you, whether you serve the mom and pop company that's local and looking to get more visibility through LLMs or just SEO, or if you're working for large seven, eight, and even enterprise level clients, which we have a small group of companies that we do that type of work for. So everything that you will see here will apply to you. Ultimately, you have to create them. The fastest way to do that is to be able to establish your authority, build some trust, and deliver value. And I will be walking through how you can do that with this new service. So for those of you that are like, well, what really is AEO, or why should I care? The difference is that if you go to Google or Bing, unless AI mode comes up, for the most part, you search for something like WordPress web designer near me. And ultimately, you're going to get a list of agency websites, maybe the local map pack, and then 10 different links. The difference is if you go to ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini and you say, like, who are the best WordPress web design companies near me, or in Phoenix or Orlando, you're not going to get like a long list of websites to analyze. It's literally going to say, here's the top ones and these are their reviews. And this applies for almost any other industry. And the reality here is that with Google now, anywhere from 55 to 60% of all searches ultimately end without a click, which means the person gets their search intent solved right then and there. This is something that everybody should be mindful of, because if you just offer websites, your customers are going to say, hey, look, we're getting a lot less visits or we're getting a lot less leads. And ultimately, this is the service that will solve that problem. Another big thing to note is that over 800 million people are actively using ChatGPT alone. Claude is my number one go-to, and Claude is continuing to grow. What's really interesting is Claude search results are very close to Google versus ChatGPT. But my point to you is that the number of people that are using AI on their devices on a weekly basis is only growing. And now when you get a new smartphone, AI is baked into it. So it's not like you get to say whether it's Apple or Google and you're using Android, they're ultimately powered by Gemini. And this is a stat that I would use with a grain of salt, which is that in some industries, studies have shown that visitors that come from these LLMs convert at over 4%, four times the conversion rate as traditional organic. And it's because when they get the information, they have it condensed, they have the trust factors, usually with reviews, years in business, and it's positioning them versus them doing the research from going from page to page to page. So these are some statistics. When you look at the AI visibility audit, you'll see a lot of different statistics there. Just understand that most people are using statistics to tell a story, similar to what I'm doing here today, and use that wisely. So real quick, this is a screenshot from today. So there is a lot of hype. Like obviously, if you're on Facebook or X or almost any place, you're going to see YouTube videos. Here's how you 3x this, or here's how you use AI visibility to grow your business, or here's how you 10x your traffic in 90 days. That's a lot of hype. Does it work? I can attest to that. What I am going to tell you is that what we're doing and what I'm showing you is working today in our agency. So just before this call, literally in the last hour, I went in to Google Search Console for two companies that we're following this process on. And I wanted to show you it's not just about AI visibility. You can see here that we got 40-ish% more clicks than we did in the last 28 days. Now, let's be clear. Obviously, we had the holidays and then you come into early January, but that's 40% plus more clicks, tremendously more impressions. For a local business, we were able to get them about 9% more clicks just by following this process and more impressions. So what I'm sharing here today works now. And this is work that was done in the last 45 days. These two projects are from the last 45 days of work. The awesome part is that the work is going to just continue to compound. And if I were to give this presentation 60 days from now, like these numbers will be 2, 3, 5x more than they are today. So the good news is that this work compounds. I wanted to give you a visual, but you should understand that as a web agency owner, ultimately the foundation of SEO and user experience is well-designed, intuitive website that loads fast and has clean code. On top of that, when you do traditional SEO, then you're focused on what does it look like to get visibility in Google, optimizing, working on better content, identifying how you can get backlinks to build authority to your website, and then doing some technical SEO. When it comes to AEO or AI visibility, GEO, at that point, now you're trying to figure out what do I do on the website or with traditional SEO to ensure my content is cited when people are looking for my brand or my client's brands. And across the board right now, the biggest ones are Claude, Gemini, Perplexity, and ChatGPT. So the integrated stack always position, in my opinion, SEO as AEO as SEO plus AEO instead of just AI SEO or AEO. There are some people that are market leaders. I won't mention a name, but someone who's, in my opinion, a tremendous expert in the space. And he told me, hey, Cliff, we actually don't position this as AEO. I mean, as SEO, we talk about it as AEO because a lot of companies are tired, they're burnt out with SEO. The bottom line is AEO is just a layer on top of SEO. And whenever I speak about it, I recommend that the clients understand that the website is the foundation. They should definitely work on traditional SEO. And then on top of that, focus on some of the content and optimization strategies that are really important for AEO and GEO. But the reality is, if someone comes to you and says, hey, I don't want to do SEO, I only want to focus on AI visibility and AEO, just understand that you're probably not going to get any results. You can figure out how to maybe positioning the wording to them, but the reality is, and that's what I'm here teaching you, the foundations is that it starts with a solid website. So for those of you that do website work, just understand that's a great productized service. I'll cover that in a minute. Then you need to ensure that you focus on traditional SEO. The beauty of this is so much of it can be optimized and automized even leveraging AI, and we'll be covering some of that in the Accelerator. And then the AEO Geo stuff is Schema, ensuring that you optimize the content to ensure that the answers are given in the first 200 words of the service page or blog page or whatever that looks like. So this is the foundation. What I want to let you know is let's just say you understand and you learn all of this. What are the ways that you ultimately are able to start having conversations with your existing customers? And so these are three discovery questions that create urgency and work really well. So this is not urgency like FOMO, but this is urgency like, hey, we need to have that conversation. And every time you postpone it, someone is gaining a competitive advantage over you, and those who are looking for your services are going to the competition. So the one that, in my opinion, works really, really easy and well to ask is, have any of your customers mentioned finding you on ChatGPT or other AI assistants? And the reality is that this is happening in our business, and hopefully your clients are seeing that in theirs, whether or not you're doing SEO services for them. The one that really gets them is the one I used in an email, which I'll be sharing with you in just a second, is if a potential customer were to chat GPT or Google, if they were to hire someone that offers the same service as you, who do you think would get recommended? This one allows them to be curious, and then they say, well, I really don't know. And then you say, well, hey, look, we have a solution and we can help solve that. So I'm going to pivot real quick over to that. I sent this out to 5 people last week, took me less than 20 minutes. And within 30 minutes, I had 2 paid audits. These were to existing customers that don't do SEO, and I was able to sell them for $299. Here's the message. I'm not going to go through this because you'll have the template and you can walk through it. But the idea is ask the question, personalize it to them, let them know that people are looking and people are being found. And it's really not a option of either or in this case. If they're not listed, they're losing the deal, and we then tell them exactly what we offer them with this visibility audit, what the cost is or the investment. That's how we frame things. And here I tell them instead of $499 for the first 5, I'm offering it for $299 in the idea, with the idea that they will be doing some sort of case study review that I can use to build authority in this space. And then hopefully they'll refer me to other people that are interested or want similar services. I have a breakdown of all of this, and the good news is it works. It didn't just work for me. This same solution, the same model worked for Rory, who happens to be on the call. So there's no hype here. He sent out this email to 8 people. One person signed up. One wanted to talk about what this looks like, which would be this week for him. So that is extremely great response rates. And the reason I haven't gone past 5 emails is because I now need to do the audits, do the presentation, close the deal into some productized work or ongoing retainer work, and then work through the next group. So for those of you, this is where you write down on a piece of paper, take Cliff's template and send it out to 5 or 10 people. If you want, send 5 today and then send 5 tomorrow. So, what is the answer to this for agencies? In my opinion, it is our AI visibility audit. I'm going to go ahead and go to it. So, we're going to spend about 5 minutes or so just walking through this audit. Another thing I wanted to show you, in case you're like this is how real life stuff works. AI visibility audit tool for agencies. Like here we are. And when you look at Profound is like tens of millions of dollars in valuation. So this is our agency leveraging the same strategies to rank. So here you can see where we are. We have the schema markup. People will generally click here probably over that. And this is AI visibility tool for agencies, hyper specific audience. This is what we're doing. Here's where we are. Now, with a more generalized term of AI visibility audit example, you can still see here there's a couple of videos. I'm working on a video, but there's a sponsored one, and then here we are again. This is a blog. The other one was a page. What I'm teaching and what the audit brings out and what you need to implement is how you get results, and it's not rocket science. So I spent 6 hours walking through this entire guide, but it literally walks through every single section of the report, the statistics, why they matter, what to communicate, how to look at it, what's in each citation. If you want to go through this in detail, I highly recommend you go through that blog and step through it. So AI visibility audit cover page, unlike all the other ones, you don't get a whole bunch of covers. You get this. It's positioned directly for the business owner and you're good to go. It's built in the report format, so you can download it into a beautiful PDF or export it into Google Docs if you want to take out stuff, and it's very easy. So you have a cover page, then you have really this landscape doc that sets some guidelines and mindset shifts for the business owner, whether it's your client or a prospect, where you're talking to them to let them know that AI traffic is growing. So with this report, we start with giving them a landscape overview. We talk about the adoption of AI tools, the usage of them, the traffic is coming from them, that they convert higher than usual, and that at this point, Google is still the primary source of all traffic. And if you were to look at your client's analytics, generally you'd see it's probably under 2% of all website traffic is coming from these platforms, but it's only going to continue to grow. We then set a foundation of what traditional SEO is and why it matters and what AI visibility looks like, and that it's just a growth layer on top of it that is in its infancy stages, and that window and that opportunity is closing, and that's what the messaging looks like here. The reality is, if you start now, just like with SEO, obviously you're going to be more competitive months or weeks and definitely a year from now. And the data shows that this is not going anywhere. We then have an AI visibility score, and that is based off of two core elements. The first one is going to be this technical scorecard, which is the foundation stuff we talked about. Issues with JavaScript, XML sitemap, proper semantic HTML, page speed, all of that. I won't cover this in tremendous detail, but that's what the first part is. The next part of it is going to be how well you perform across these different platforms. Now, one thing to note here is that similar to SEO, I'll just use an example. If you use three keywords and they're not competitive and the client can be found, let's just say it includes their brand or their service and a city, and that's all you look for, then you can skew this number to obviously go up or down, which you generally don't want to do. Ethically, you want to be able to find a combination of brand, service, informational, comparison prompts like them versus the competitor and put that together. The other thing that's really important to note is that this is using 10 prompts. Like obviously most companies are going to have 30, 50, 100 generally over time that are going to be more comprehensive depending on how big the company is. But the idea here is to have a sample share to have a conversation. So then you have this score of potentially where you are or where your client is, and then the market leader. Here is put their rankings across ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and Gemini. By the way, this is my agency with some test prompts being put through, so this is all accurate. You have the overall citation rate, which is simply how many times is your brand and your content being cited versus the market leader. There's a discrepancy. We need to work on that. When it comes to branded query citations, how many of them show mine? This is off now because we were looking for branded queries, non-branded citations. This is where it's showing competitively. I'm losing when people aren't looking for my brand, but my services. 42% of the market share is going to a market leader. Share of voice, this is meant to be low because it's across dozens of companies. And then the sentiment score here, is it positive, negative, or just neutral? Sometimes they might say like really bad reviews, not trustworthy, or it might say like rated number one, XYZ. That's what that overview looks like. There's a performance by platform. It then shows them really who's competing by citation rate. It then compares you or whoever your client is against the market leader across the platforms. It then goes prompt by prompt, sharing this. Another thing to note here is that we are running directly to the platform and we are then running a web search off of it. So for those of you that are like, well, hey, we ran this against ChatGPT and we're using the free version, or we didn't do a live search, like all of those things, including the temperature, leads to a variation. So it's similar to someone searching for best web design company in Atlanta, and I'm in Orlando searching for that versus someone like Melanie who actually is in Atlanta. So there's varying parameters and settings that change that, but the reality is the conversation is still, are you being cited or is it your competition? What type of content is being cited? How do you inform a better content strategy by seeing what type of content is being cited? So you have this who's winning across the board, across different prompts. You can see what content and who the site is. Then we actually condense all the citations to figure out what type of content is being cited so that you can figure out like, hey, how do I get listed there? Here you can see obviously on Clutch, it has this listing. I have the opportunity to pay to get listed here. And I know that then I would be competing with the other companies when Clutch shows that their page for agencies. And then most frequently cited domains. This is an easy way for you to see who the competition is, as well as if there are directories that you could ultimately get a listing on. Then we look at if you can connect the Google Analytics, Google Search Console. We then run through the Google Search Console. We filter out everything that is not related to branding, and then we identify keywords and then show you what page is already getting traffic so you know what to optimize for. This takes time if you don't know how to do that. Like with this audit, in a few minutes you have that. What are the top pages? And then ultimately, same thing with Google Analytics. We see what pages are getting traffic, how much traffic they're getting. And we are again filtering by organic channel only, not other traffic. And then if the client is actually getting, or the business is getting traffic from AI platforms, we actually parse the analytics data and then are able to show you the sessions, the platforms, and potentially where they are going as well. So now you know what pages to work through. SEO and don't have a good web person to work with, understand that this is essential, whether you do SEO or AEO. And so these are the different elements we believe are the most important. Some people may say, I don't think that's important. That's great. Well, you could just say that's a medium, not high, and adjust it in the Google Doc. But for us, these are the things that matter. If it finds an issue, it indicates that. If it's good to go, it just checks it out, and then you have a score. Page speed goes through it, again, tells them why. Just for your edification, we think of paid speed generally about someone getting content rendered fast. It increases user experience. The other part is that LLMs obviously use processing power. The slower your website loads, the harder it is for it to crawl it. And so the faster your website is, the better it is. Now, Google has actually, in the last week and a half or so, released a new framework that you can use to tell AI agents which pages are important and what they have on them, etc. So that in the next 1 to 2 years, when people say like, hey, go to this website and check the pricing and book me appointment for a massage or get a quote for a kitchen remodel, the platforms will be able to do that without having to scan. Now what they do is they go to the website, they have to take a snapshot, analyze it, and work through it. But my point to you is page performance is going to become more and more essential, and it's a great service to be able to sell. Another part of this report that we include is identifying what are the pages that have the best opportunity to move the needle. And then we provide recommendations of what type of work should be done. This is what you would charge them for as part of a plan to implement. Priority recommendations. And then really here we have a ROI model. As you know, we always say anytime you want to make a sale, ensure that whatever the investment is a small fraction of the value that's delivered back. So when you walk through this audit, which is extremely simple to do, you just click AI visibility audit if you have access to it. And I'll just walk you through how simple it is to run this. I'll come in here and I'll pick just my agency for privacy purposes. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say Orlando, although our site is currently optimized for Phoenix. And then so I am going to include my pricing. This is where I let people know generally at, 2,500 is what it would take to solve some of the basic issues. And I can come in here and change that if needed. And then let's just say 2,000 a month. I click next. And now this platform is going to go try to understand the business and then come up with prompts. And these are the prompts that are foundational to generate the audit. Obviously, you can adjust these prompts as needed, or you can run them through your prospect or client to get buy-in, which is what I actually do. So here, what I'm doing is saying, what's the average value of a customer for us? It's a minimum of 10,000. Ultimately, the way we tell them is this is a projected revenue impact of what you could get when you implement these services over the next 6 months to 12 months. Like our goal is to look at the website, see what conversion improvements we can make. We're looking on getting more traffic with more leads and customers. And then the combined impact is this. Our approach starts with AI visibility, traffic growth, and then converting more visitors into leads. Usually we're looking at, for this, anywhere from 5 to 10 plus X in ROI. We tell them that they can start seeing results in 60 to 90 days. but really it's going to be a 6 month baseline, and we take it from there. Foundational work, I gave you a preview of what it looks like to put in some numbers. That's for this. Some agencies don't do this, like they don't have a foundational model. They just say this is broken up into a monthly setup. The first month or two, depending on how much work is there, is to get the foundational stuff done, and then we move on with everything else. This is not set up to be a cold email model. This is to be for used with existing customers to upsell, cross sell, or leads that are interested in SEO, AEO. And that's how you do it. So there is a playbook walkthrough. I highly recommend you go through the blog and read it, because I pretty much wrote it from the perspective of what would it look like if I could have an hour with all of you and walk through section by section why we built it, what matters most. And that's where I talk about the prompts of having a balance of research and discovery, having a balance of who are the best WordPress web designers or who are the best SEO companies in Phoenix or Orlando. As far as pricing goes, super simple. Here, we don't give this for free unless we know that this is going to lead into something tremendously high value to us. So for those that are curious about what this looks like, you're starting at $199. Can go all the way up to $499. We've sold these insights for $1,000. Like, my point to you is, based on who your market is, like, you $199 sale on this is super easy. So here's some ideas of pricing tiers and packaging and audit. You generally want to have a call. You close deals through conversations, and you want to have the call, because the goal should not be just to productize report, unless you have like someone who runs a CRM for an industry or is doing a large agency and you do white label work for them. Then you can, like, hey, here's the audit report, 99, 199, you do 10 of them a month and you're done. But generally you want to have the conversation to then upsell everything else. It could be the audit plus a strategy. The good news is we do a lot of heavy lifting to show you things that you could be doing over the 30 to 90 days. There's an audit plus implementation, and the reason it's $1,000 to $3,000+ is because we don't know how much work is needed to get the foundational stuff set up and what your hourly pricing is. So generally for us, it's about 2,000 to 4,000, 3,000 to 5,000 if it's a larger website. And the other good opportunity here is that if you have clients that are interested, but they don't want to, do SEO at this point, you could pick 10, 20, 30 prompts and start offering, monthly reporting, just like you would for the analytics or Google Business Profile. Within my web audit, we have a separate product called Client Reports, and we will be rolling out AI visibility into that in the next couple of weeks, so that starting, early to mid-March, you'll have access to that if you want to be able to offer this to clients that you do SEO for or AEO for, or just clients that you do web work and they want to have an understanding of what their market share looks like and who the competitors are. That's an easy way to do that. So ROI is tremendously simple with this for your business. AEO services have high margin revenue. Think about it this way. If you just closed 2 paid audits at $299 a month, just 2, whether you do paid ads to it, whether you have content and inbound, whatever it is, that compounds over 12 months to a month, just a productized service, to $7,000. If just once a month, one of these clients convert into ongoing retainer model, that compounds significantly. And if you just did the 2000 implementation, not recurring revenue, let's just say you spoke to 5 people and one of them said, hey, let's move forward to just solve my website foundational problems, and you just did one of those a month, that's $24,000. And that's not even talking about recurring revenue services. If you were to sell 10 clients of yours over the next year, like, bottom line is that's $500 of recurring revenue. These are conservative numbers depending on how many customers you have, and that's $37,000. If you include selling the retainer services, there's no reason this can't be you adding 50, 70, 80, 100,000 for those of you that do SEO, another 6 figures in recurring revenue to your business model. So one of the things that we will be talking about in the Accelerator, and that you'll see some information in the audit report, is just the idea that you need to solve the technical stuff. This could be depending on how large your business is. Like in our agency, we're a group of 10 people, so we can move faster than maybe someone who's a solopreneur or has one or two people on their team. But the reality is, over 30 to 90 days, you want to implement some sort of roadmap. And you can give them the roadmap as a plan, and that's just a paid deliverable, or you can obviously implement it for them, and that is doing the technical stuff, putting in the llm.txt, doing the schema markup, ensuring the page speed is in place, then analyzing their content, see what pages are actually getting traffic, identify how to improve them, and leveraging EEAT signals in there. One of the clients that we're doing this for, we were able to include their awards. We were able to include how many clients that they've served over the years, as well as awards they've won. And just by implementing that into their blogs, we are now getting cited on Google for best X company in this location, and their blogs are like on page one. Like that's it. Like because we've implemented what they already know but don't effectively share. And through the accelerator, I'll be showing you how we build a framework for EEAT, gather the information, and then leverage that with AI to write stuff. And then, like, what's a working example of that today? Very practical, very simple. But this is again like practicing what we preach here. And I'm doing all of this to my blog, by the way. So in the next 90 days, I'll be providing a case study of the model. But here we talk about 25 years in business, my SaaS agency, the fact that other people have used this. Down below, we talk about the number of audits that were ran. And so those are the type of things that if someone were to just write fluffy content, like Google doesn't know, but with EEAT, if you can link back to your reviews, if you can put review schema in place, it makes a huge difference. And then you work on competitive positioning and then you execute. So for those of you that consume this, you're still here and you're like, wow, Cliff, this is really good. I'd love to learn more. I am working through a 3-week AI accelerator. It starts next Tuesday, same time, 11. It's going to be 45 minutes of training, PowerPoint stuff. It's actually just working through content in sections, seeing how you implement it. Then there's a Q&A for 15 to 30 minutes, get everything answered, and then you move through it. So I wanted to let you know that you can go here and apply. This is only available to 50 customers. You have to be on an annual plan. You have to be an active customer. You have to offer web design and SEO services at some capacity, because this is meant to be like a group cohort where we learn from each other. You also have to have at least 5 to 10 customers, because the idea is we're not going to be like, I'll be walking through some demand generation of how you can use Loom videos, how you can build a case study model. But the reality is we want literally everybody to have generated revenue from this service by the end of the accelerator. So these are the reasons where we have this in place. When you'll get 3 live sessions, hot seat to ask questions, work through stuff. There will be homework assignments. In fact, if you're accepted, you'll have homework to do between Friday when you get notified and Tuesday, because you have to come with it. You do have to show up. If you happen to be across the world listening to this recording and you are part of that, we'll do AMA calls for that. You'll have access to me to ask questions through all of this, the 3 sessions, and here are the dates. It's every Tuesday, same time. How to sell it, positioning it, pricing, how to present it, like in detail. What are the things to look at? And then how do you really fulfill it? Like I'll be sharing some of our prompts and our workflows and walking you through that. By the time you get to session 3, we will have had my web audit MCP in place so that you can take the audit insights and the prompts and do a lot of work that would have 4 hours of work in less than 30 minutes with the MCP and the workflows that we're walking people through. Live sessions through Zoom, assignments and templates in Docs, and then recording will be available within 24 hours for those that miss it. And again, you go and go. In order to apply, you just click there, log in, and you are good to go. I truly believe the future is bright for those of you that are consultants that are looking to deliver and solve expensive problems and help your clients get to driving more visibility, traffic, and leads. I don't think there's a easier, faster way for you to do that. No hype. If you want to join the conversation, myweboudit.com. Sorry. Yeah, slash Facebook, or you can go to Facebook and look for My Web Audit. We have a YouTube channel. There's where the recording will be. Thank you for your time.